The retirement party was at the Union Hall. 43 years. Same company, same job, same lunch break at noon, same parking spot by the fence. I stood at the front of the room, cake on the table, white frosting, blue lettering, Happy Retirement, George. Balloons on the walls, silver and gold. Coworkers I'd known for decades filled the folding chairs. Some I'd trained when they were fresh out of high school. Some who'd trained me when I didn't know a wrench from a socket. My supervisor, Mark, gave a speech. Something about dedication and legacy. Presented me with a plaque, engraved, heavy, the kind of thing you put in a drawer and never look at again. My daughter Amy was there, front row, smiling wide. That smile I'd seen 1,000 times, the one that meant she was up to something. Her husband Brian beside her, phone out, recording everything. Their 2 kids, twins 8 years old, Emma and Jack, running around the dessert table, high on sugar and chaos. I'd just finished. My speech, something about gratitude and new beginnings. Thanked the guys on my crew. Mentioned Janet, my wife, gone 6 years now. Got a little choked up. The kind of thing you're supposed to say when you're leaving a job you've had since you were 24, since before Amy was born, since before I knew what a mortgage or a 401k even was. Then Amy stood up. Can I say something? She didn't wait for an answer. Just walked to the front, took the microphone. I want everyone to know how excited we are, she said, voice cheerful, confident. Dad's moving in with us next month. We've been planning it for weeks. He'll have his own space. Well, the guest room. And the twins are so excited to have Grandpa around full time. The room erupted in polite applause. Coworker smiles. That's wonderful, someone called out. I stood there, microphone in my hand, speechless, moving in with them. We'd never discussed this. Not once. Not in any serious way. Amy hugged me, tight, public. For the cameras. Her friend was recording, probably going straight to Facebook. Surprise, Dad, she whispered in my ear. We'll talk about the details later. Just go with it for now. Go with it. Like I didn't have a choice. I smiled, nodded, said thank you to the room, played along. But my mind was already elsewhere. On the lease I'd signed 3 days ago for a 1-bedroom condo in Sarasota, Florida. Move-in date June 1st, 6 weeks from today. I didn't correct her. Didn't tell 50 people she'd made an announcement I'd never agreed to. I let her lock herself into the lie. The party ended at 8 p.m. People drifted out. Handshakes, pats on the back. Enjoy retirement. Don't be a stranger. The usual things people say when they know they'll never see you again. Amy cornered me by the parking lot. Brian loading the twins into the car. Emma arguing about her seatbelt. Jack already asleep against the window. So, she said, bright, too bright. We need to talk logistics. Logistics. For the move. Brian's going to rent a truck. We'll help you pack. Probably need 2 weekends to get everything sorted. I'm thinking we start with the garage, then the basement, then... Amy, I stopped her. I never agreed to move in with you. She laughed, nervous. The same laugh she'd used in high school when she got caught sneaking out. Dad, don't be silly. We talked about this. No, we didn't. Yes, we did. Last Christmas. You said retirement would be lonely, that you didn't know what you'd do with yourself. I had said that. Over dinner. Amy's dining room. The twins showing me their school projects. I'd said I didn't know what I'd do with all the free time, that the house would feel empty without work to go to. I didn't say I wanted to move in with her. That was a conversation, I said. Not a plan, not permission. Her smile faded, eyes narrowing. Dad, you can't live alone anymore. You're 67. What if something happens? What if you fall? What if you have a heart attack in the middle of the night? Who's going to check on you? I'm 67, not 97. I run 3 miles every Saturday. You're being stubborn. I'm being honest. She crossed her arms. The same way she used to when she was 16 and didn't get her way. When I said she couldn't go to that concert, couldn't stay out past midnight, couldn't date that boy with the motorcycle. Brian and I already cleared out the guest room. We bought you a new bed, queen size, memory foam. The kids painted you a welcome sign. Emma worked on it for hours. My chest tightened. A physical pressure, like someone was squeezing. They'd done all this, without asking, without confirming, without me. Amy, we're family, Dad. This is what family does. You took care of me my whole life. Mom died when I was 28. You were there. You helped with the wedding, with the twins when they were babies. You babysat every Saturday for 3 years. Now it's my turn. It's my turn to take care of you. The words sounded good, noble, loving, but they felt like a cage. She walked away before I could respond, got in the car, drove off, left me standing in the parking lot, alone. I drove home. Quiet streets, late spring evening, the kind of night that felt like possibility. Windows down, radio off, just the sound of tires on asphalt. I unlocked the front door. House I'd lived in for 32 years. Bought it when Amy was 2. Janet was pregnant. We'd scraped together the down payment, 20%. Took us 3 years of saving. Paid it off 15 years ago. Threw a party, just me and Janet, champagne, cheap stuff. She'd cried, happy tears. It's really ours now, she'd said. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, garage, backyard with a deck I'd built myself. Spent 2 summers on it. Janet would bring me lemonade. Amy would hand me nails. She was 6, thought she was helping. My wife Janet died here 6 years ago. Pancreatic cancer, 3 months from diagnosis to gone. She'd loved this house, loved the neighborhood. The maple tree in the front yard that turned gold every October. She'd rake the leaves into piles. Amy would jump in them when she was little. Janet would laugh, take pictures. After she was gone, people kept asking when I'd sell. It's too big for one person, they'd say. Too many memories. Don't you want a fresh start? But I'd stayed, because it was mine. Because Janet had picked out the paint colors. Because Amy's height marks were still on the kitchen door frame. Because I wasn't ready to let go. And now Amy wanted me to leave it, not to sell it and find my own place, to move into her guest room, to sleep in a bed they picked, to eat at their table, to live by their rules, to become a permanent visitor in someone else's house. I sat at the kitchen table, opened my laptop, pulled up the lease agreement I'd signed. Sarasota, Florida, 1-bedroom condo, 12-month lease, $400 a month, utilities included, pool, fitness center, walking distance to the beach. I'd found it online 3 months ago. Started researching Florida retirement communities, read forums, watched YouTube videos, learned about homestead, exemptions and property taxes. But the real research started after Christmas dinner, after Amy had said casually, over dessert, "Dad, have you thought about what you'll do when you can't take care of the house anymore?" I was 66, still mowing my own lawn, still climbing ladders to clean gutters. Can't take care of it meant, we want you to give it up. That night, I'd Googled retirement communities Florida, not because I couldn't take care of my house, because I wanted to know what my options were before someone decided them for me. Then I'd flown down for a weekend, February, escaped the snow, toured condos in flip-flops, met with a realtor named Linda who didn't ask about my family, didn't ask why I was alone, just showed me properties, signed the lease on my last day there. 12-month lease, non-refundable deposit $2,800, early termination penalty, 3 months rent plus deposit forfeiture. Total commitment, $7,000 minimum, even if I changed my mind. Tomorrow. I'd locked myself in, intentionally, told no one, not Amy, not my friends, not even my brother, because I knew if I told them, they'd try to talk me out of it. They'd say I was running away, being impulsive, making a mistake. But I wasn't running away. I was choosing what came next, on my terms. Amy called the next morning. "Hey, Dad, just wanted to give you the moving timeline. We're thinking May 20th for the first load." "Amy, I need to tell you something." "Hold on, let me put you on speaker." "Brian's here." I heard rustling. Then Brian's voice. "Hey, George, we were just talking about which furniture you'll bring. We don't have room for everything, obviously, but I'm not moving in with you." Silence. Then Amy. "Dad, we already went over this." "No, you announced it at my retirement party in front of 50 people without asking me first. I was trying to do something nice." Her voice rose, defensive. "I thought you'd be happy. You're always saying how quiet the house is. Saying the house is quiet isn't the same as asking to move in with you. So what are you going to do? Live alone for the rest of your life?" "I'm moving to Florida." Another silence, longer this time. Then Brian. "Florida? What are you talking about?" "I signed a lease for a condo in Sarasota. Move-in is June 1st. "You're joking," Amy said. "I'm not." "Dad, you can't just move to Florida. What about your doctor, your friends? What about the house?" "My retirement, my life, my choice." "And the house?" Her voice sharpened. "What are you going to do with the house?" I paused. There it was, the real question. "I'll figure it out." Her voice cracked. "You're choosing Florida over us?" "I'm choosing Florida for me." I heard her crying, then the line went dead. She didn't call back for 3 days, but Brian did. "George, can we meet for coffee?" We met at a diner. halfway between our houses. Same place Amy and I used to go when she was in high school. Brian ordered eggs. I ordered coffee. Look, he said, I get it. You want independence. That's fair. But have you really thought this through? I've been thinking about it for 6 months. 6 months? He looked surprised. Amy said you just decided this week. Amy doesn't know everything about my life. He stirred his coffee. Uncomfortable. Looked at his eggs. Picked up his fork. Put it down. Finally, she's worried about you. We both are. I'm 67, not incompetent. That's not what I'm saying. He leaned forward, lowered his voice, like we were discussing something shameful. But Florida, you don't know anyone there. What if you hate it? What if something happens and you're alone? Then I'll handle it. Same way I handled Janet dying. Same way I handled raising Amy. Alone. Same way I've handled everything else. Brian sat back. Something shifted in his face. Amy says you never ask for help, because I don't need it. Everyone needs help sometimes. Maybe. But that doesn't mean I need to live in your guest room. Then I'll come back, I said. And throw away a year's rent? It's my money. He leaned back, studied me. Is this about Amy announcing it at the party? Because if she overstepped, it's not about the announcement. It's about the assumption. What assumption? That I'd just go along with it. That I didn't have my own plans. Brian sighed. She was trying to help. I didn't ask for help. Maybe you should have. I set down my coffee. I raised Amy by myself after Janet died. Worked full-time, paid for her college, helped with her wedding, babysat the twins every week for the first 3 years. I've been helping my whole life. Now I want to do something for me. Is that really so hard to understand? He didn't. Answer, he texts. Started the next day. Morning, afternoon, evening. A steady drumbeat of guilt. Amy, the twins keep asking when you're moving in. What am I supposed to tell them? Amy, Brian and I spent $600 on the new bed. We can't return it now. Amy, I told the neighbors you were coming. Mrs. Patterson even baked you cookies. I didn't respond. Kept packing. Then she went for the emotional jugular. Amy, Mom would have wanted us to stay close. She always said family should stick together. That one stung. 'Cause maybe she was right. Janet had always valued family. But Janet also told me, right before she died, don't let anyone make you small, George. Live big, for both of us. Living big, not living in someone's guest room. 2 weeks before my move, Amy showed up at my house, Saturday morning, unannounced. Let herself in with her old key, the one I'd given her when she was 16, for emergencies. This wasn't an emergency. We need to talk, she said, standing in my living room, looking at the boxes, the labeled furniture, the donation pile by the door. I'm packing. You're really doing this. Not a question, an accusation. Yes. What about the house? I'm renting it out. Found a tenant through a property management company. Young couple, teacher and a nurse. Move-in is July 1st. Her face fell. Color draining. You're renting it? Dad, this is our house. This is where I grew up. And now someone else gets to make memories here. What if Florida doesn't work out? Then I'll figure it out. She sat down on the couch. What did I do wrong? I sat beside her. You assumed. I was trying to help? She wiped her eyes. Brian says you're being selfish. Maybe. She stood up. Fine. Go. But don't expect us to visit. She left. Slammed the door. I went back to packing. June the 1st. I loaded the last box into my car. Furniture went into storage. Most of my stuff went to Goodwill. Took only what I needed. Clothes, books, photos. Janet's wedding ring on a chain. The property manager called around noon. Mr. Thompson, just confirming your tenants are scheduled to move in July 1st. They're very excited. Good, thank you. I didn't tell them Amy didn't know. The drive to Florida took 15 hours, split it into 2 days, stopped in Georgia overnight, hit Sarasota on a Thursday afternoon. Hot, humid, palm trees everywhere. The condo was perfect, 2nd floor, balcony overlooking the pool. I unpacked slowly, put Janet's ring on the nightstand, hung photos. That night, my phone rang. Amy. Dad. Her voice was shaking, angry. I just drove by the house. There's a moving truck in the driveway. A couple is unloading furniture. What the hell's going on? My stomach dropped. The tenants weren't supposed to move in until July 1st. They're my tenants, I said. I told you I was renting the house. You said July 1st. It's June 3rd. They requested early move-in. Property manager approved it, paid extra for the privilege. I went inside, Dad. I used my key. They were putting their stuff in Mom's bedroom, where Mom died. Amy, you just left. You didn't even say goodbye. I left when I said I would. June 1st. And now strangers are in our house, sleeping in Mom's room. It's not our house anymore, it's theirs, for the next year at least. Silence. I hate you right now. She hung up. The first month was an adjustment. Hot, slow, quiet. I joined a gym, started swimming laps every morning. The water was warmer than any pool back home. Chlorine smell mixed with sunscreen. Old men doing water aerobics in the shallow end. I swam in the deep end. 50 laps, then 60, then 70. Met a guy named Tom, retired teacher, Boston accent. We started having coffee after workouts. He'd taught high school English for 37 years, had 3 kids. None of them lived in Florida. They visit, he said, twice a year, Christmas and summer, that's enough. Found a local diner, became a regular. The waitress, Helen, learned my order without asking. Eggs over easy, wheat toast, black coffee. She was maybe 50, had a son in the Navy, showed me pictures. He's stationed in San Diego, she said. I haven't seen him in 2 years. That's hard, she shrugged. That's life. You love them. You let them go. You don't make them feel guilty about it. I left her a big tip. Anod took walks on the beach, early morning, before the tourists. Watched pelicans dive for fish. Collected shells I'd never keep. Just liked the weight of them in my pocket. It wasn't perfect. Some days I missed home, missed the maple tree, missed knowing which floorboard creaked, missed the sound of snow on the roof. But most days, I felt lighter, like I'd been holding my breath for 6 years and finally exhaled. Amy didn't call, didn't text. I didn't reach out either. Gave her space, gave myself space. 2 months in, I met Carol, neighbor across the hall, widow, sharp sense of humor. We started having dinner together once a week. Nothing romantic, just company. She asked about my family once. I told her the truth. My daughter wanted me to live with her. I chose this instead. Carol nodded. Good for you. I love my kids, but I don't want to live with them. It was the first time someone didn't make me feel guilty for it. And then, one morning in late August, I got an email that changed everything. September, 3 months in Florida. The email had been from my property manager. Simple subject line. Tenant request. They wanted to extend the lease another year. Loved the house, wanted to stay. I'd said yes within an hour. That's when Amy called. Dad? Amy. Hey. She paused. I wanted to see how you're doing. I'm good. How are the twins? They're fine. Started 3rd grade. They ask about you sometimes. Tell them I said hi. Silence. Then, Brian and I have been talking about the party, about everything, and I'm sorry. I shouldn't have announced it like that. I wasn't listening. I was just deciding for you. Thank you for saying that. Are you happy there? I looked out the window, palm trees swaying, sun setting over the pool. Yeah, I am. Good. She sounded like she meant it. That's good. You and the twins are welcome to visit, if you want. We'd like that. Maybe spring break. Okay? We talked for another 10 minutes about the twins' school, about my morning swims, about the restaurant Carol recommended. It wasn't perfect, but it was something. A year later, I'm still in Sarasota, renewed my lease. Amy visited twice, brought the twins, beach, sandcastles, ice cream. I talked to her once a week, FaceTime with the twins. It's not the same as before. There's still distance. The house back home is still rented. Good tenants. I don't know if I'll ever go back, but I don't regret it. I chose myself, and that choice cost something.